There we go. Okay. Hey, welcome everyone. We're back. We're black and white.
There we go.
To be with you.
Yeah, we were off last week.
Yes, we were. And we will tell you all about it as soon as we...
There we go.
I love that bass line coming in there.
Of course, because you're black.
Well,
folks, you got to watch Faith Plus One by South Park. Okay? Because
Faith Plus One.
Cartman starts a Christian band. And he tells Token, go down your basement and get your bass. I don't have a bass. Yes, you do. You know, Token, you're black. You have to have a bass down in the basement. He comes up and, what do you know? I got a bass in the basement. He says, all right, you're playing bass. I can't play bass. Yes, you can. You're black. You know, and then he hooks up and, what do you know? I can play bass.
Man, those guys, they have no fear. They don't care. They're not afraid of offending anyone. And you know, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. There's Dave Chappelle's another one.
Yes.
You know, he goes after gays so much, or not so much the gays, the trannies.
Yeah.
And it's just mercilessly, you know. And there was another one here recently. It's Cat Williams. Cat Williams. For some reason, Cat Williams is a huge Trump fan. For some, I don't know why or how, but I mean, he's almost unlistenable to because he's F-bombing all the way through. Every other word is an F-bomb. But he just, you know, and he just tells people, if you don't like Trump, you know, F you and F and this, you know, but it's crazy because he sees through the nonsense. He's a very real, honest person, you know, and he just doesn't put up with any of the nonsense, you know, and that is piercing a lot of the veil of hypocrisy in the black community, setting people free. And it's funny because I still find myself on a lot of these black chat lists on Facebook, and you see the nonsense, but it's starting to fade.
Yes.
And you'll see these comments, and man, the attacks from other black people, and not necessarily conservatives, but it's like the black community is waking up and rejecting the nonsense.
Yeah.
They're saying, you know, they're attacking now the people with this foolishness that, and the only real silliness I see nowadays on there is white libs, white liberals that want to use the black experience or the black issues to promote their own liberal agenda, their progressive agenda, and black people aren't going for it anymore. Eddie, it's a wonderful thing.
This is why, and folks, I don't want to step on our new Tulsa County Republican chairman's announcement here, but I do expect her to name an ad hoc committee on City of Tulsa and race relations, and I expect you to be a big part of it.
Oh, so your discussion about Token earlier.
Yeah. No.
It means more than it did before.
I can't wait. Now, listen.
Wait a minute. Let me go in the other room and grab my bass.
Okay.
And start playing it for you. Yeah. I was already doing that earlier.
Sure. But I can't wait because G.T. Bynum, one of his last acts was to set up this commission on reparations, and he names a bunch of white liberal women to it. And I can't wait to see you, Eddie, as an older black man who's seen all the nonsense, to tell them, I don't need no white liberal women telling me what's good for the black man.
Yes, but see, I really don't count in this town. No. I'm serious, and it's legitimate. I think it's legitimate because to an extent, and that is because I'm not from here, and so no, I mean there is some legitimacy to the fact that I was not born and raised not only in Tulsa, but particularly in North Tulsa, the North Tulsa experience.
Well, neither was Lori Decker Wright, and she's on the commission.
There you go. See, that is true. That is very true, which is even worse. She's from San Francisco.
Yeah.
A liberal, well, maybe a little further south. I think she's from like San Jose or something. But close enough to San Francisco. It's the same San Francisco attitude. And then the other one, Laura Bellis, and what's that new the other one that's just joined them, the one that attacked me in that at that debate.
Yeah, I thought that was Bellis, but okay.
No. Laura Bellis attacked me at an earlier one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, an earlier one. I didn't even know who she was. Yeah. And neither time did I know who these women were. Angry white women.
Yeah, but Eddie,
like angry birds.
Eddie,
like the angry birds.
You know you're effective because you make them nervous.
Yeah, I guess.
And here's the other thing. We have, as public record, the 1920 census for Tulsa. Right. And I'll bet you of the black people living in Tulsa now, less than 20% can establish their lineage to one of the people on the census here.
It's possible, yeah, probably.
So the fact that you're not from here, well, you're just part of the 80% of the black community that isn't from here.
Town-wise, yes, that's true. Yeah, but of those living in North Tulsa, most of those are still legitimately descendants of the people in North Tulsa.
I don't know that I'd say more than 50%.
I don't know. I would say so. But, well, I don't know about 50% anymore because one of the little-known facts is that North Tulsa, a significant part of it, is becoming Hispanic now.
Right.
That's what's really funny.
And here's the other thing. In 1920 census, you will see that Muskogee was a bigger city than Tulsa.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't until World War II that Tulsa became part of that war machine. And we were less than 50,000 people in this city.
That's true. And probably, and a lot of the people from rural areas moved into Tulsa, the black community. Right. That is true. Okay, now I get you.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. There's so much, what you would call BS about the whole 1921 riot. I still refuse to call it a massacre because of the way it all happened and everything.
Right.
And there were many people killed on both sides. So I just refuse to buy into that. The only reason that they wanted to change the name to massacre is because it makes it sound worse. Mm-hmm. What occurred gives it more gravitas and makes it sound, makes us have more sympathy. They want to make it sound like Wounded Knee. Yeah. Now, Wounded Knee was a true atrocity, okay?
Yeah.
Giving blankets that, are filled with smallpox and then massacring, sending soldiers out with guns to try to shoot and having them shoot people that are trying to escape a certain area. Well, that are totally unarmed. That is a different situation from what happened in North Tulsa.
Was that where Custer was slaughtered in history?
No, that's Little Bighorn.
Little Bighorn. Okay, that was a massacre too, but just the other way.
That is true. Yeah, there's massacres and there are massacres.
But here's the thing, Eddie. I have, unfortunately, had considerable experience dealing with psychotic conditions, people in psychosis, people with paranoia, people with delusional thoughts. And I've learned that you just cannot present enough evidence that'll make them all of a sudden change their mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard a story about a young guy who's going into psychiatry and he had to do his internship at a mental health facility. And they said, okay, you got to meet Billy. Billy thinks he's dead. So he goes in a room with Billy. He says, I hear you think you're dead, right? He says, well, tell me, Billy, do dead people bleed? Oh, no, because they're dead. He says, okay, well, it's good to see you again. Shakes his hand and he pricks his finger and he starts bleeding. He says, Billy, you're not dead. You're bleeding. He looks, Billy's like, what do you know? Dead people do bleed.
Yeah.
And so G.T. Bynum spends a whole bunch of taxpayer money at digging up graves where he's heard from, like, I know there's bodies buried there. I know there's a mass grave there. And there's nothing.
Right.
Okay. You cannot convince them.
No.
No amount of facts.
No, you start digging in a potter's field.
Yeah.
A potter's field, which is where they bury dead people it's a graveyard where people are buried that can't afford a funeral.
Right.
That's a potter's field. And so they decide to go to a graveyard, which is such, and they find dead bodies that no one knows who the people are. We found survivors of the massacre.
And Jimmy Hoffa. I'm just kidding.
and I mean, it's just so ridiculous. And of course, then, oh no, you know what? You know where they must be? Under the freeway.
Oh yeah,
but we can't dig up the freeway.
No.
We'll just assume they're under the freeway.
We'll
just believe they're under the freeway because we can't find them anywhere else. So they conveniently put a freeway over there so we couldn't find. I mean, like you said, they just have to keep up making up excuses and things instead of letting it go. And the people I'm really disappointed in, and what really upsets me, is the Christians that won't let it go. And it's frustrating, and I talk about it in the book. You cannot receive forgiveness for your own sin until you forgive others.
Right.
They must forgive until the black community is ready to forgive. Yes, it was wrong for 300 people to be killed in stupidity, okay? It was a stupid occurrence on both sides.
If
it
there were
never
300
should have had. No, I believe there were 300 people dead. I believe there were also 50 to 60 whites killed in that, okay?
Yeah.
There were people killed on both sides, okay?
Yeah.
But it was all out of stupidity. Black former World War I veterans heard that they were going to lynch this young man in the jail.
Right.
The sheriff took the precautions to make sure that the lynching never happened.
Right.
But the black veterans didn't believe it, so they got guns, went down there, showed up. The word went out, niggers are coming downtown with guns. So the other side got guns, and there were more of them. A shot rang out. Katie barred the door. It started. The riot started on both ends, and it ended up devastating. But here's the part that what bothers me, the parts that are never told. The sheriff locked the jail down. He shut the elevators down. He put his deputies on every floor to make sure no one breached the jail to get to this young man. Okay. The day after everything, he marshaled the young man and the young lady that was originally the supposed victim and the perpetrator.
Who she never made an allegation.
Never did. He took them and he got them out of town. They were never heard from again. Okay. That's never spoken of. Okay. What's also never spoken of is the fact that the Tulsa black businessmen got together and got the money together to rebuild what's known as Black Wall Street, right? And they did it on their own.
Yes, they
whereas
did.
White businessmen wanted to come in and confiscate that area.
Booker T would be proud of him.
He definitely would if he had been alive still.
Right.
But anyway, they did it on their own, and nobody wants to give credit to them for doing that. All they want to do is go back and talk about the bad and not the good. And instead, it should be an example of what good can come out of bad when people are not ready and willing to lay down and whine and cry and try to get something for nothing. Okay.
Here's the thing.
It makes me mad, Dave.
Those black businessmen who rebuilt it, they didn't trust the white liberal.
No. The white liberal was
Malcolm X warned the black community, do not trust the white liberal.
The white liberal was trying to buy up all of that land and take it away. There would be no Greenwood area today. They would have not rebuilt that area.
It was the white liberal administration of Susan Savage that bulldozed several streets in North Tulsa, just Haskell northward.
Yeah.
And I mean, this was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because I remember in the 80s, I'm driving up there. I got lost. I went going by Kane's Ballroom. Like, Where am I?
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with people. I don't know what's wrong with the people who are continually well, I do know what's wrong. It's what Booker T. Washington named the race hustlers, the race pimps that are wanting to continue to get something off the backs and suffering of the people from that era. And it's not just Tulsa, it's nationwide. Well, you got your Al Sharptons up north.
Look at Black Lives Matter. A bunch of liberals. Now, they're black women, but all that money that they raised went to socialist causes, not to the black community.
Well, not to mention their houses.
Yeah.
Mansions they bought on their boyfriends. And
they became the bourgeois that Marx decried.
Exactly. That's what happens every single time. And the people, several people that were involved in Black Lives Matter are no longer in Black Lives Matter because they've seen the hypocrisy and it's happening in everything. When the Black Panthers began as a movement that was right on, for lack of other terminology, okay?
Yeah.
It fought against something. In fact, it's funny, in my book I talk about how and conservatives don't want to hear this, but Ronald Reagan actually ushered in the liberal gun laws we have today. Mm-hmm. Ronald Reagan, when the Black Panthers stood on the steps of the Oakland City Hall with their guns, their open carry, because California had open carry laws. Governor Ronald Reagan instituted anti-gun laws.
Oh, yeah, and he's not alone. Stuart Rhodes, head of Oath Keepers, he kicked the Missouri Oath Keepers Association out because during the Ferguson riots, when it was black business owners who were suffering the looting and that, the Missouri Oath Keepers helped arm those mom and pop's businesses under the name of Oath Keepers. Stuart Rhodes said, we can't have gun rights for black folk. Right. And he kicked him out. Right. That's why I don't trust Stuart Rhodes. He did just get a pardon for January 6th, but I don't trust the guy.
Right, exactly. So we have to be honest in everything all the way across the board. So Ronald Reagan, I think he was a good president, a great president. A lot of things he did were good. There were a couple of things like making Martin Luther King's birthday a holiday. I wasn't down with that personally. And the fact as governor, the gun laws, he and believe it or not, what's the big gun lobby?
NRA.
NRA. Yeah. The NRA was actually against open carry back then.
Yeah.
That's what's so crazy. It was Ronald Reagan and the NRA that instituted the anti-gun laws that we have today. If you can believe that.
Wayne LaPierre totally changed the NRA.
Right. But isn't that weird that Ronald Reagan and the NRA, two of the names associated with liberal gun laws, or, what we consider liberal, freedom of gun rights, okay? They're the ones who initiated the strict gun laws we have today.
Do you remember, what's his name? Joe Biden, Brandon, came to Tulsa as part of the whole centennial of the race riots. And one of the things that happened that day was armed black men marching down
I remember that.
Detroit, Cincinnati, they call it ML King Drive now. And I was all for it. If I believe in Second Amendment rights, I have to believe it. And they're all carrying their rifles, marching down the street, and the cops directed it. It was properly permitted and everything. Yeah. But you know what undermined it? Within 24 hours, there were 2 gang shootings on that parade route. This is why we can't have nice things.
We can't have nice things. See, that's it. On the parade route, 2 shootings.
Yes, literally.
It's funny here. Probably the most. No, not anymore. I was going to say the most liberal member of the Tulsa City Council, I'll say one of the most liberal, Vanessa Hall Harper, the lone black liberal, or Democrat at least, that we have a liberal Republican on the black Republican. But anyway, liberal Democrat on the city council. She actually is signing up people to have their permits. She wants black people to get their gun permits, and I applaud her for that. And there's a black organization which is affiliated with the NRA, where you can, and she's actually soliciting memberships to that, getting people to sign up for that. So I applaud her for that. I disagree with almost every other aspect that she supports, anything else she supports, but at least she has the right idea there, So you can't always just automatically say no because of who a person is or who they're with. Every now and then, what does it say? Even a broken watch is correct once a day.
Twice.
Or twice a day, yeah. Well, that's unless you're on a 24-hour clock.
Yeah.
If you get a European watch, it's once a day.
Well, and here's my problem. You have a concealed carry permit.
Yes.
Right? You have certain restrictions that are part of that permit that can get you in trouble. You have to notify police officers.
Well, you're supposed to.
It's in the statutory code.
Right, but I never, yeah.
Okay.
It's strongly encouraged.
Okay.
Like, for example, I always forget when the police pulled me over. Like, remember the story I told you where the guy had me out of the car and he finds it. When were you going to tell me?
Yeah.
That, oh, yeah, I have this. He said, and, they know. Yeah, but yes, I'm supposed to notify them.
Yeah.
It's not a law. It's a suggestion.
Technically, they can come after you for it.
Well,
technically.
No, not really. Not anymore, because I don't have to have the permit, period.
That's my point. But once you sign up for the permit, you're subject to additional requirements.
Yes, but this is one of these times where we have our own little discussions, right? But the overall requirement, when the overarching requirement is no longer a requirement,
right,
it negates the other requirements.
Well, yeah, the reason, and Nathan Dahm, was instrumental in getting this done as a senator, and he said a lot of people are still want to get their permit because of reciprocity in other states.
Right.
And so he said, if you travel, may be.
I'll tell you why I like mine, because it's like a get out of jail free card. Mm-hmm. If a cop stops me for speeding or whatever and they usually let me go.
Yeah. I usually tell that to people whose spouse gets a medical marijuana card, is get the caretaker card. It's free. And if a drug dog hits on your car and your spouse isn't here, it's your get out of jail free card because you can transport, Well, anyway, but yeah, it is a get out of jail free card. But Nathan Dahm said that. He said, now, if you do get the permit, there are certain requirements you have that you're still going to have that the average person carrying doesn't have.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only point I was getting.
But I found law enforcement officers really appreciate people that have a carry license.
Yeah.
And so that's why I do it. And even though I forget to pull it out and show it to them, when they find it, it changes the attitude and everything. Yeah.
I got to say something. Can we cleanse the palate?
Okay.
God's humbling me because I was a little bit arrogant about Oklahoma college sports. This time last year, we were looking okay.
With softball?
Football.
Oh, football.
Well, softball's always good. And your alma mater, Texas Tech, not so good last year.
Guns up.
This year, they end up barely losing the tiebreaker to get into the Big 12 championship.
You talking about basketball?
Football.
Oh, football. Okay, yeah.
And then they're top 10 right now in the nation in basketball. Like, wow. Dave, quit acting like you're an elite because you're all for Oklahoma college teams. Eddie here just quietly is like, go Red Raiders. And they're doing good. Oklahoma teams are sucking. I mean, all four of us. Right now, I think ORU is at the bottom of the Summit League.
Really?
Yeah, they are bad. TU is almost to the bottom of the American Conference. Big 12, I think Oklahoma State had one good win. They beat Houston, who's number 3 in the nation, in Houston. That was their first road win in the conference play. And OU, who thinks they're too good for the Big 12, is sucking it up at the bottom of the, or close to the bottom of the SEC.
Yeah, Tech is interesting in basketball because we tend to do well in basketball. I don't know what it is that makes us do so well in basketball. And we're doing better and better in football. It's an interesting place. It's the type of school that there used to be a thing, Lubbock or leave it.
Yeah.
But it was because of Tech. The people that go to school there, you just love it. Mm-hmm. I mean, because the campus is it. You really don't care about the town. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people go to a school because they like, you know, you go to Georgia Tech because you love Atlanta, the life in Atlanta, or Ann Arbor, Michigan, the life in town. But Tech is so far out there in West Texas that the community, college community, is it.
Yeah, it's it. You don't get there by accident.
Stillwater's the same.
Well, yeah, Doug Gottlieb, who's probably one of the best point guards I've seen in college, best passer, and that he grew up a rich Jewish boy in L.A. And he got to know Jim Rome, who had, you know, a sports radio show. And while he was at Stillwater for Eddie Sutton, he would have these little things he would send Jim Rome about life in Stillwater. You know, and it's the funniest stuff. And now Doug Gottlieb, you know, followed Jim Rome into, you know, broadcasting and sports commentary. But, you know, it's, very much the same. Lubbock and Stillwater.
Yeah, those are sister schools. They're both ag schools. A&M, Tech was originally an A&M school and OSU.
Yeah.
And the schools partner on a lot of things. And we're rivals.
Yeah.
Tech and OSU have this rivalry, have for a long time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love OSU. I mean, I think the architecture, they're both very beautiful schools. I think the architecture at OSU, campus-wise, it's a much more beautiful campus than OU, I think.
Thank you, T-Bone Pickens.
Well, yeah, probably, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but whoever the architecture, whoever designed it and laid it out, it's that Southwest architecture, whereas OU is like, nothing fits. It's all, you know, different and everything. And, you know, OU is the mother school, just like Texas, you know, and you're fortunate in Oklahoma, though. See, you don't have an A&M. See, A&M is the school in Texas that thinks there's something and they're nothing.
Well, they're a poser A&M. Because the real M, which means agriculture mechanical, is what
agriculture
Texas...
and mining.
Oh, mining.
Mining is what it is. Agriculture and mining.
Okay, I thought it was mechanical.
Okay.
It's mining. But that's truly what OSU used to be called.
Right.
Oklahoma A&M.
Right.
And Texas Tech is really,
agriculture
in
and
truth,
right,
fulfilling to this day. Yeah. They are an agricultural support system.
Right, and that's what they were. They was Texas.
Whereas Texas A&M is kind of wants to be an Eastern university, you know, highfalutin. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're more into engineering and medicine.
Yeah.
And veterinary stuff. Their veterinary school is one of the best.
That's agricultural related.
Right, in the country. They're very good. I mean, listen, I hate A&M, but at the
in a Christian way.
Yeah, in a godly way. Of course. No, I will always hate A&M, mainly because they hate us. But at the same time, I have to give kudos that it is a very, very good school.
You know,
so I will give them though, even though I hate you.
We're somewhat paraphrasing Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter hated Jerry Falwell. And one time he said, in the most Christian way, may I say, Jerry Falwell can go to hell. That's a Jimmy Carter quote.
Yeah, but no, I used to, to me, one of the way we used to say the gayest thing in the world was the Corps marching, the way they would do their marching thing,
Who's that?
A&M.
Okay, yeah.
The Corps. They would do this thing where they would march, and they were proud of it, and they would do this close quarter drill. You have to see it it's good. It's really good. They're really good at what they do.
Yeah. You know what I saw, speaking of
we would just make
marching bands? No, you saw the makeshift inaugural parade where they had it in the basketball arena.
Yeah, right.
There's this black college, I think it's Southern Georgia. I forget where it's at. But they had like 8 drum majors. And they're out trying to outdo each other. These black guys.
I remember, yeah.
It was entertaining, man.
Yeah.
And they knew their stuff because they had like less than 48 hours to revamp their street marching to marching around the court of the arena.
Right.
And they did it awesome.
Yeah, they're kind of a fixture for Trump because they were at the 16 inauguration as well.
Wow.
They're one of the schools that...
I forget the name of them. They're a Southern Black College, though.
Yeah. Man, we're rambling here, but we haven't been here in 2 weeks, so we're going to take time to ramble. But I was on Facebook, and somebody reminded us. People were doing rating of the best Super Bowl performances, and I had to agree with somebody. To me, the greatest Super Bowl performance ever was, I think it was 1990. It was 90-something. I can't remember. I think it was 90 because I think we were still in Europe at the time, in Germany. But it was Prince. Prince doing the Super Bowl, and it was raining. It was like torrential rain.
Oh, you're talking about halftime show.
Halftime show, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But it was all live. It was and so anyway, and he's doing Purple Rain in the rain.
There you go.
And I think you could have been electrocuted, because he's out there. But it was but he had this. I think it was. I can't remember if it was Florida A&M or Southern University. I think it was Florida A&M marching band out there playing with him as he's doing this. And the band is. Everything was so perfectly done. The audio was incredible, and there he is with rain, rain dripping off of him. He's all wet, his conch or his perm, his process, as we used to call it, his hair dripping. But he was just playing and singing, and this black, university band is out there playing, with him.
Nice.
It was just amazing. When you mentioned that, I go back to that. But if you ever get a chance, go online and look at the Prince Super Bowl halftime. And I think, seriously, it's the best halftime. It outdoes Michael Jackson. It outdoes, you name them. It's just something else. And there's the one cut where they said they didn't think he was going to do, everybody considered him a prima donna. He's not going to do this, but he did it, and it was quite a knockout show. But, hey, so we probably better get to some...
Yeah, but to finish up sports, just so you guys know, this week is the basketball tournament amongst conferences, and Oklahoma's 4 teams. I think all 4 of them lose in the first round.
Think so?
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
They're that bad. So I like the way they're setting it up when you've got more than...
Oklahoma has 4 teams in?
Well, they have 4 college basketball teams that are Division I.
Right, but they all made the tournament?
Well, they all are in the conference tournament. Now, here's the thing. Big 12 used to, I think, the last...
Wait a minute. Oklahoma didn't have 4 in the... Oh, I see, because we have 2 in the SEC, and then...
Oh, we have 1 in the SEC, 1 in the Big 12, 1 in the AAC, and 1 in the Summit League.
Oh, now I got you. And are those all NCAA?
Well, they're all Division I.
They're all Division I. Okay, okay. I thought a couple of them when they had dropped down.
What I'm getting at is pretty much all the major conferences have done this things where it's almost like a double play-in. If you're one of the top 4 in your conference, you get a double bye. You might only play, you will only play 2 games to win.
But see, I don't know if that's a good or bad because you may be sitting too long.
Could be, but think of it, if you're ORU, you've got to win 4 games in 4 days.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Not just play 4 games in 4 days, win all of them.
Right.
And then your last game is against the top team who's well rested. Yeah. You know?
That's
so, I like it because I think you should, because anybody can get lucky. There's times I've seen somebody get on a lucky streak, and they've had a sucky season, and they become your one guaranteed berth in the NCAA.
Yeah.
You know? So, that's where I'm at on it. I do like that system.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, that was it on just my basketball report.
Okay. All right. Hey, the big event of the week, to me at least, I think, was the presidential address to the joint session of Congress, which basically is the State of the Union, although he hadn't been in long enough to have the State of the Union. I guess next year it'll be the State of the Union.
When you have an incoming president, the law does not call for a report from the president to Congress. And by the way, it's not even... At first, it was just they submitted a document. Right. We call it, and that document is called the State of the Union.
Right.
Now, TV era, they want to do it live, you know.
Yeah.
And what a spectacle.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it was must-see TV, get your popcorn and watch it. But, the Democrats, it was not good. It was not good. They just really messed up. And, what the problem with the Democrats is, really, they've got women leading them. I mean, no, seriously, and they think
some of those women are male. I mean, they act like women.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's the men are even though you may have a male leader of the party, the congressional party, I think he's being led by the women.
Yeah, well, they're totally controlled. We've always talked about that. They're in lockstep. And what you're seeing now afterwards is some brave voices amongst the Democrats saying this was a bad decision to totally sit stone-faced. Well, the rest of us are celebrating somebody, overcoming a kid that overcomes cancer. And
the victims of murders.
Yeah.
Just atrocious murders.
And remember, they like to say, where is your compassion?
Yeah.
They screwed up.
Oh, they did.
I was just looking for that one brave Democrat voice who would stand up and clap when nobody else would.
Well, the problem with the brave voices are the ones that they just didn't show up. They didn't even come.
Oh, is that right? Several Democrats didn't even show.
Yeah, they didn't show.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I don't know whether that gives them any cred for anything or not, but there was one lady over there on their side that was standing up, and she did the right thing. I don't even know who she had, and she didn't have pink on; she had like burgundy.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know who she was, but
we need to find out who that is.
Yeah, but she was standing up all the time, and I was like, I wonder who that.
Now the Democrat response was rather coherent. Because that
started out good. It started out good, and then she turned to the left.
She's considered a moderate within the Democrat Party, so that was interesting.
Yeah, but in the end, she's just ended up like a typical Democrat.
Trump totally owned Pocahontas. Because he said that this war will be going on forever. She gets up and is clapping that war's going on forever.
Yeah.
And he points, it's even Pocahontas, and then she just keeps clapping. Yeah. It's like, she is just an idiot.
Yeah. She, although I have to say, in a way, her response was better than what it could have been. It could have been.
Yeah.
Or she could have flipped him a bird or
Yeah.
a double bird or something. You know, I mean, it could have been worse.
Yeah.
So, you know, she was acting like it didn't bother her.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the end, so.
Yeah, and the problem is some of the districts that send these idiots, like Al Green, I don't think he's worried at all about being primaried.
No, they don't care. No, they don't care. They were trying to do that for their constituencies, which are pretty much just, crazy. I mean, people don't, angry people about what we were talking about earlier, the people who have gotten used to living off the government. Mm-hmm. They have no pride. They no longer know how to think for themselves.
Yeah.
or try to achieve anything, which is sad. I mean, it really is a sad thing.
You know,
to see.
what's great to me, I look at the certain segment of the Black Democrat community in Chicago who's protesting all of this illegal immigration and all the money that's being spent. And your biggest cry is, that money's for us.
Yeah,
it's
our money. Yeah, that's true.
They're like jealous. And I have to tell you, a good friend of mine, lifelong friend of mine, lives in a little area, this town in central Minnesota, St. Cloud, 70, 80,000 now. They used to be about 55,000. And then about 15,000 Somalis got dumped there by Governor Mark Dayton, the famous Target, Dayton Hudson Corporation, Target stores. Wealthy liberal. And he flat out tells him, you don't like it, you move. And a Somali kid, a week after I was there, a Somali young man goes down to the mall, stabs 11 people until he's shot and killed by an off-duty cop who's a concealed carry permit instructor. And my buddy says, I don't know where they're getting their money. They're all driving nicer cars than me.
Yeah,
And yet we find out USAID is the one that's dumping our tax dollars to them.
Yeah, and see, that's what I don't understand. Ilan Omar and all the Somalis coming here. Mm-hmm. Where's the attitude come from? I mean, in other words, instead of being thankful that you're able to grow up in America, that you're able to come to America and live a life different from the one that you came out of or escaped it from, you come here and want to destroy our country.
Well, yeah, but the attitude is Marxism. Remember, it's not gratitude. It's not thankfulness. It's entitlement. It's yours. The bourgeois took it from you, And it's hate and anger. It's class warfare.
But what did they take from you? You didn't have anything.
It doesn't matter.
When you got here.
It doesn't matter. It's an ideology that's meant to make them feel entitled.
Right. But my question is, who put that there?
The same people invited them in. The NGOs that are bankrolling all of it.
Okay, there you go. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, in Catholic Charities, Lutheran Social Services are two of the biggest players in that.
Can you really call them Catholic then?
I'm telling you, that's their corporate name.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. And somebody needs to investigate that. Someone in the church.
Right.
Because, they're big in town. They're big in Tulsa.
Oh, yeah. Hell, I know a lot of wonderful people that do a lot of wonderful things through them.
Yeah.
But,
neighbor for neighbor.
Yeah. But, like my daughter and son-in-law, they got involved in Black Lives Matter because they just believe the narrative of what Black Lives Matter.
Are they still there?
I haven't seen any kind of activity in the last few years. And they were big Bobby Kennedy supporters. So anyway, Trump made a beautiful move when he worked out a deal with Bobby Kennedy. One of the most massive. I tell you what, let me just say this. University political science textbooks are all going to have to be rewritten post-Donald Trump. The greatest political mastermind in American history.
Wow.
Bar none. Bar none. Unbelievable. What this guy's doing, unbelievable. It's incredible. And he will be studied for centuries to come. The same way we now study, Napoleon or, Machiavelli and all these great political minds of the past. Yeah, I'm just on politics. Donald Trump. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, let's hope and pray that he continues in the right way.
Yeah.
We hope it doesn't, zig
Right.
when it should zag.
Oh, by the way, we just had another report on the assassination attempts. And I watched a couple actually videos. You remember the day in Butler, Donald Trump got shot. You know how many personal Secret Service personnel he had protecting him? He had 4. Because the same day in Pennsylvania, the First Lady had an indoor event, selective crowd of supporters. She had 12 just as personal bodyguards. She gets 12, he gets 4. That's interesting stuff.
Are you talking about the former First Lady?
Yeah.
Jill Biden.
Right. At the time, she was First Lady.
Right.
And so using the resources to the best judgment, she needs 3 times what he needs. And, yeah. I mean, this is why Secret Service, Trump had to go find one person he absolutely trusted, and everything else is being redone. But, for Trump, this is tough because your life is in their hands.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's an interesting thing. I wanted Dan Bongino to be tapped for Secret Service head. I think this is even better that he's deputy FBI director. Mm-hmm. But Bongino, being a former Secret Service guy, I thought would have been good. But, Trump's got way more insight than I do.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Yeah, wow. Hey, related to that, anyway, basically the State of the Union or the congressional address.
That's all on me, Eddie. I'm the one.
No, it's okay. The congressional address turned out to be a real winner for the president. I found on YouTube Democrats just really angry at what they saw from their party, people that are fleeing, saying, okay, this is the ultimate.
He beat Bill Clinton until, I said, Bill Clinton had the longest address.
Right, yeah.
And I remember, I was like, God, when is this going to end? I remember watching that. And Trump surpassed that, and he really can't blame it other than the Al Green incident, which maybe tied things up for a minute or two.
Yeah, out with his cane.
Yeah. But other than that, but most everybody who's followed him said this is the greatest speech he has ever given.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah. Mercedes Schlapp said that right afterwards.
Well, Mercedes,
Well, she's covered a lot of them.
Yeah, but
she worked in his communications department.
Of course, there you go. See,
but has a library to choose from. She's no longer part of his administration.
Yeah,
she's no longer part of his administration, and says it's not one of those that she helped write.
Right.
She said, no, this one was the best.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know.
His command.
It was okay. It was a good speech, but I don't know if it was the greatest speech ever.
I don't. Yeah, I think. Listen, my expectations are so high.
Earlier I ragged on Ronald Reagan, but I don't think Donald Trump can give a speech like Ronald Reagan. I still think Ronald Reagan is given the best addresses of anyone.
Ronald Reagan's wit far surpasses anybody.
Well, and just his ability to give a speech.
Yes. And the happiness, the optimism.
Right.
I agree.
And his ability to tell stories.
Oh, yeah.
And things like that. He sets them up and he delivers. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as, having material and the substance and so forth. Mm-hmm. Yes, Donald Trump, the negative aspect of Donald Trump's speeches, and I'm all Donald Trump all the time. I've been, that's how we met.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. But the negative aspect of Donald Trump's speeches are always when he brags, when he gets a little too much of
no.
Yeah.
Stretching the truth? Really?
Well, I don't know about stretching the truth. That part doesn't bother me if he would just not pat himself on the back.
Yeah, and this really wasn't so much that.
No, but there was enough of it to annoy me a little bit.
Yeah.
But so what I'm saying, no, it was a great speech, and the guests he invited were just the right guests.
Right.
And the stories he did tell and the everything like that was perfect. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the only things to detract a little bit were some of his praising of himself and what he's done and so forth.
Yeah.
And but no, overall, no, it was a good speech.
I think it was a baseline for his next 4 years. I think it was saying, because he exposed a lot.
Yeah.
He made his case very well.
Yeah, I wish to enhance it more, he should have, I believe, pumped up some of his staff people. In other words, he should have lifted up Bobby Kennedy. He should have lifted up Raj Patel. Lifted up, different
about Bobby. I actually saw a lot more than I thought I'd see.
Yeah, but not just the need, why it's so important, and why just really dig more into and bring out stories of
well, like he talked about autism,
right?
How bad, and that is striking. And he didn't go the whole conspiracy theory route. He just said, hey, when it goes from 1 in 10,000 kids to 1 in 36,
right, we
got to look at this. And the medical community and the Health and Human Services, none of those agencies are really addressing it. But here, get this. Then later, when he talks about how many thousands of people are still on the active Social Security over 160 years old, what did he say?
Elon.
Bobby, we're healthier than I thought.
Well, yeah.
I thought that was wonderful.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good. But see, to pump Elon and then Tulsi.
Yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard. In other words, to throw, and I might have thrown in, these are people that you rejected.
Oh, yes. That would have been, yes.
Yeah, see, you rejected these people and then point out the expertise, their background, what they bring to the table, what they've done, what they're about to do, and so forth, and show America these people were Democrats, faithful, loyal Democrats, and better Americans.
Oh.
And from Hawaii, from Massachusetts, Bobby's father died to serve this country, to be president of the United States. He would have been president, and he was gunned down. So, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. He could have, his uncle was this, John Kennedy, and lift all of that up, and then brought up one of my best friends, John Kennedy Jr., all of that. If he would focus more on those type of things, oh my goodness, he'd have had people crying, and he'd have those all those little fans and signs they had. They would have taken them, shoved them up their butts, because he would have just shut them down so badly. Yeah,
the hatred amongst the Democrat establishment for Bobby Kennedy, it is psychotic how badly they hate him.
The TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. It's
right, because he destroys their narrative of their great legacy.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan used to be a Democrat. Donald Trump used to be a Democrat.
Charlton Heston was a Democrat.
Yeah. Tulsi Gabbard was vice chair of the DNC less than 10 years ago.
See, those are the type things that he pointed all of those out. It would have just made them look terrible. And you know, less of me, more of them is what I would like to have seen. And he could have just taken that speech. And I mean, it was a good speech, but it would have just made it a magnificent speech. So,
yeah. See, I thought I saw it in ways, but it was not to drive home the point that you're talking about. Your point, didn't get driven home enough. Right. I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, the White House is, and everybody knows this and sees it, he's unleashed on the rogue bureaucrats. Mm-hmm. Agency after agency has been exposed through Doge. Mm-hmm. And now there's at least one agency that he's refusing Doge entry to the headquarters. And this one's called, and this is what's interesting, Elon Musk's Doge team members and acting head of the U.S. Agency for International Development, Peter Morocco, in accordance with Donald Trump's executive order to downsize federal government, sought to enter the U.S. African Development Foundation. This is part of the USAID. It's called USADF. Man, we got more U.S. alphabet names. He tried to enter the building on Wednesday, but they were denied entry after being intentionally locked out by members of the staff. The cost-cutting team returned to USADF the next day with U.S. Marshals after the Department of Justice determined that they had the right to enter. A White House official told Fox News Digital, prompting a lawsuit from the USADF President Ward Brem, who asked the district court to bar the administration from removing him from his position. So he's got a court now trying to get them from removing him. And he admitted to directing his employees to deny Doge entry, and he's attempting to block them from entering their offices. But the White House responded that it entitled rogue bureaucrats have no authority to defy the executive orders by the President of the United States or physically bar his representatives from entering the agency they run.
Yeah.
In the lawsuit filed Thursday, Brem alleges unlawful overreach from Doge and asked the court to give him clear entitlement to remain in his office as the president. So you've got a guy, a bureaucrat, who is appointed, not voted on, bringing a suit saying that the president who appoints these people can't remove him. I mean, how stupid is that?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Well, and you see some other federal judges saying that Joe Biden's executive orders cannot be rescinded by Donald Trump's executive orders.
What kind of judge is that? I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Absolutely insane. I mean, I don't get it. Anyway, what else you have on a national level? You have anything on a national level?
Yeah, there's a number of things going on. FBI has gone rogue, and you've got Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, who's over the entire Justice Department. The FBI is just one division of it, and they're still trying to get out the information on Jeffrey Epstein's list.
Yeah,
that's not. We're not really getting anything new out of it.
They're still. They probably destroyed a lot of the evidence.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah, we don't know what we don't know because there were things kept on secret servers. Another thing, James Comey. He actually had a secret investigation for Trump, even going back to the escalator ride down in summer of 15. Mm-hmm. He sent what they call honeypots, FBI hookers, okay? They literally were paid by the FBI to go have sexual affairs to try to get information on the inside. And they were reporting to Comey off the record. One of those people, there's one whistleblower on this, but when all of a sudden one of those women was about to be published at a major newspaper, a photo. He reported, he actually reached out to that newspaper, doesn't say which one, and told them that publishing that photo will threaten the life of a government agent. So they didn't publish the photo. Then he has one of those, at least one of the honeypots, the hookers, reassigned over to
the hose.
Yeah, to the CIA.
As Dave Chappelle would say.
Now, if you want to keep somebody from being discovered by anyone, one of the things, Comey knows this, is you make them personnel at the CIA. Because we will never get government lists on active CIA agents. So, and this was all Comey doing, and then he destroyed.
So we now have prostitutes who are official CIA agents.
Yeah. Yes. I think we always have, Eddie.
Okay.
Ever since going back to the beginning of the CIA.
I got you. Okay.
And we're not unique in that as a nation. So what's been going on then, when Comey all of a sudden gets reached out to by Perkins Coie law firm saying, hey, we've got the Steele dossier. Well, they tried to pitch it as, some, intelligence report, which was really paid for by Hillary Clinton's campaign, we now know. Comey knew this, and he still went to a FISA court and was able to go legit and destroy the prostitute investigation, the honeypots. And then he went with that, but he lied to FISA court at least twice. So Comey was trying to destroy Trump from the day he announced his intention to run. The biggest reason, guys, you got to know this about the FBI, going all the way back to J. Edgar Hoover. It is a dirt-digging institution. And FBI, the deep state, does this for their own leverage. They will get dirt on any politician, not just a Washington politician. I've seen it right here in Oklahoma. Ralph Shorty. Ralph, I don't know if you were in the studio with Pat when Ralph was there. He was defending Dan Kirby.
I remember.
Yeah. Well, Ralph, he screwed up, had a 17-year-old boy in a hotel room that reeked of marijuana, and the Moore, Oklahoma Police Department so badly bungled that Ralph was going to walk. In comes the FBI. Hey, we've got evidence of Ralph having kiddie porn 8 years ago. They never did anything with it. Why? Because they were hanging on to it as leverage against him. There you go. I mean, he's done politically, so, well, why don't we use this to actually make the guy serve a prison sentence? He's still in prison today on that. You go back to Clinton's early days when he had, I forget the guy's name, in the basement of the White House with 900 FBI files on Republicans in Washington. Clinton wasn't content to just have the FBI have the dirt. Clinton wanted the dirt. See, because the FBI is supposed to, and Justice Department, operate independently of directives of the White House.
Right. Because Hillary is the one who's requested those FBI files. I remember. That's what I remember. Rush Limbaugh stayed on that for like weeks.
Yes.
Of her requesting those FBI files.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, example. When Clinton was getting ready to be impeached, they were going to have hearings in the House on it. He calls Newt Gingrich, then Speaker of the House, calls him to the White House. That private conversation, it's since been determined, went something to the effect of, Newt, if I'm going down, you're going down. If your Congress votes to impeach, you're not going to survive. And sure enough, he gets impeached. And all of a sudden, what's the guy's name? Larry Flynn publishes about Newt Gingrich's affairs. Now, Newt was having affairs. Newt is known for his affairs. When I was campaigning against him, when it was Santorum campaign, we had a beautiful meme that says, Newt Gingrich, family values, getting the children of your first marriage to convince the voters that his second wife is lying about his third wife. You know? So, you know, so he goes down. Before he went down, I remember election night, I'm sitting there with Largent watching the returns. He gets reelected. I said, now you got to challenge Newt openly. The next day, he announces he's challenging Newt openly. By the time they got to the vote, Newt was long gone. And he got behind Bob Livingston. And guess what? They had dirt on Bob Livingston. He had to resign because he had an affair. This is the FBI underneath it all, keeping the dirt. The only reason Clinton got it is because the FBI had it. You know? And then the guy they did end up with, what's his name out of Illinois? Dennis Hastert.
Oh my, yeah, Denny Hastert.
Now we find out Hastert went to prison because he was getting it on with little boys. Who had that? You know, because it took a long time before that got prosecuted. Now, is it really a Justice Department if they're allowing known criminals in high elective office and appointed office to continue on
until
they quit doing the FBI's bidding?
Right.
So this is the deep state operation.
So one thing that tells you is that Trump must be very clean.
Amazing.
Yeah. Because
Absolutely amazing.
They don't have any tapes or videos.
One of the things, and this was innuendo, I wasn't running the Santorum campaign in 2016, but I said, I don't trust a New York businessman because you know he has to have mob dealings in order to stay successful there. And I find out how much the mob respected him. Literally respected him. The Teamsters respected him. It's amazing how respected this guy was. And I thought, oh, you know, and now listen, you and I both know he is a womanizer. He's not proud of that. But the guy's a teetotaler.
Yeah.
He knows things I know that we're still praying for Eddie about. To leave the liquor alone.
Leave the liquor alone. That's good.
Wine is a mocker. Strong drink is raging. Whoever is deceived thereby is not wise. No, that's not me talking. That's Solomon.
And Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I have a long story of why I don't do hard liquor.
Yeah.
And wine I can't because I get migraines from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now beer, that's another story.
Yeah.
Beer is
you
another.
and Kavanaugh. Remember Kavanaugh? I like beer. Okay? I like beer.
Which the German in me, but I can only usually do one, and then that does it. So
yeah.
Anyway, now that we've dealt with that, thank you, Dave. Hey, I'm gonna move to a little bit to yeah. Here's an interesting story. Gene Hackman and his wife.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we got some answers on that finally.
Gene Hackman and his wife were found dead in their Santa Fe, New Mexico residence. Who knew he lived in Santa Fe? I mean, I didn't even know.
I did know that.
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah.
I didn't know it. I know we had, and I didn't realize he was 90. What was he? 95? Yeah. Wow. He was about my mom's age. I guess she was 96, but wow. Gene. And his wife was quite a bit younger. She was in her 60s. I think she was 60. She was younger than you. Or no, just a little older than you.
She actually died first.
Yeah, she died first. She had Hunter virus.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you don't know, it comes from rodents. And so now this is an interesting. I found this out. The Hunter virus is a mouse-borne virus. And this is scary because we get mice every winter in our garage.
Yeah.
And so I have to put the traps out, and I kill about 4 of them, and then they're gone for the year. But it can come from the bites, from contaminated food, if they get into your food and you eat the food that they've contaminated, or, now this is the scary one, if you're breathing contaminated air after cleaning their droppings. So if it's a confined area like a closet or something,
Right.
and you're in there cleaning their droppings,
Right.
and the air has the hantavirus in it, you can get the hantavirus from that. Anyway, and they apparently, he apparently had dementia very badly. And so his wife apparently died about a week before he did.
Yeah.
And so he was so bad off with his dementia that he probably didn't, because she was on a different floor, a different level from where he was.
Yeah, and he was not able to communicate verbally.
Right. And so he probably didn't even know that she had passed away.
He may have starved to death and dehydrated to death.
Right.
For all we know.
Right.
Yeah, it's sad.
So, yeah, it's a terrible. I mean, my goodness. And beloved actor. I mean, Popeye Doyle played in some great movies. He was he was kind of everybody's favorite. He could. I mean, to me though, what was interesting, his greatest roles to me were as a bad guy. He could play a good bad guy. He could be a scary bad guy.
I always thought he was a little goofy looking. Hollywood likes these handsome, debonair people, and that he was always a little. He truly achieved by his skill, his talent, his acting ability. When I watched him in Hoosiers, I thought Eddie Sutton. It just reminded me because they have similarity in features in that the curly hair, tall, But I think my favorite Hackman performance is Enemy of the State with Will Smith.
Oh yeah, that was good. Where he was like a survivalist guy and
former agent.
Right.
Yeah, secret agent. In the
and
government.
he saved Will Smith's life, and he was helping him escape. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was his first one? San Francisco. Was it where he was? It was in San Francisco. He was a cop.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's where he was Popeye Doyle. That was the character. I cannot remember the name of that movie.
Yeah.
But it was his most famous. It's the one where he has the famous car chase and there.
Yeah. See, I really didn't take to him when he first got popular.
Right.
It was Hoosiers and Enemy of the State.
Oh, okay.
Where
The
I
later
really
ones.
became a big fan.
But
those were later.
I think he won the Academy Award for that early one, that first one. I cannot think of the name of it, but it's such a famous, well-known movie. But yeah, he's one of those guys that everybody. But I didn't realize he was 95. I figured he was in his 80s. He was pretty much up there. But someone here is probably trying to tell me what the name of the film is.
He really wasn't a socialite. I never as much saw him. I mean, look where he lived out in Santa Fe, right? And it almost reminds me of something about Humphrey Bogart. Says, because Bogart did not like the publicity scene. He says all an actor owes his audience is a good performance. And that kind of reminds me of what you got with Hackman. Yeah. He delivered great performances, and then he lived his life on his own. But it's incredible. He had to have a good agent. He kept getting great roles. He kept delivering on them.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's the agent, and you have a knack for reading scripts and realizing this is something I want to be a part of.
Yeah, there are some actors who are very one-dimensional. They can play a character. I joke about Meg Ryan. If you've seen one Meg Ryan performance, you've seen them all. Actually, except for Top Gun, she played a loose, drunken wife in a scene there. Ghost, take me home or take me to bed or lose me forever, and that. But other than that, Meg Ryan's always the same expressions and everything. Hackman, you just saw just such a diversity. And that, to me, that's what a good actor is. As much as I'm disgusted with Tom Hanks, I see a lot of diversity in Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I don't know. Tom's not. I'm done with him. I don't.
Well, we're both disgusted by him.
Right, but at the same time, I don't know how he is an Academy Award winner because I don't think he's that great of an actor.
Well, yeah, I don't think so.
His roles, to me, have never taken much acting.
What I'm saying is the diversity to play. What's his name? Forrest Gump. It was very diverse from Saving Private Ryan.
To me, there wasn't that much.
I don't think there were great performances.
Right, but what I'm saying, there wasn't that much diverse. I mean, he acted goofy in Private Ryan is the only.
Yeah.
To me, the greatest actors of our era, let's say, are Daniel Day-Lewis.
Help me out here.
Last of the Mohicans.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about?
Vaguely.
Okay, and then he played, what is it, My Left Foot? And then there was what was the other one, where he played this Irish guy in New York City in the riots. They had the riots there. Anyway, all of the movies he's in, he's a totally different character. And just totally, I mean, so different, it's unbelievable. Yeah. And some of you don't even recognize, can't believe it was the same guy. That can't be the same guy. Yeah. I just saw. The other one is the guy, what is his name? He was the English Patient, and then he was in, what are some of his movies? The English Patient and Schindler's List. He was the Nazi captain in Schindler's List.
Is he Italian? Are you referring to?
No, he's British. He's a British guy, but he played a Nazi German officer who was just shooting Jews out of his window, and then he was just head of the concentration camp. Okay, just a horrible guy. And then
you watch way more movies than I do. So I'm terrible.
I mean, but. Ralph Fiennes. Ralph Fiennes is his name.
Okay,
to me, those two guys, they're unbelievable because you can't believe that these guys are the same person that to see him in Schindler's List, and then there was another. I wish I could remember the name of this other one.
Yeah,
there was one he played, which was kind of a futuristic one, and I could not believe it's the same guy.
Well, yeah. There's some people that we just enjoy watching their acting.
Tom Hanks, it's always the same person. It's Tom Hanks when you see him.
Most people, I can identify with the character he's playing. It's not that he does a great performance. We just enjoy the character. And Meg Ryan, a lot of the same thing. Now, Morgan Freeman's another one of those where I don't think he has a great diversity. I just think he delivers a particular persona and does it well.
That's true, yeah. Denzel Washington, for example, to me, there's not that great of a diversity in his films. Okay, there you go. He throws himself into the character of whatever he plays, but truly, there's not that big. In fact, I don't know if you've seen the new Gladiator 2. It's on Netflix. Yeah, and I don't know if it's Netflix.
I thought Cuba Gooding Jr. does a lot of stuff. A lot of looks, with the Jerry Maguire played the hotshot star athlete, and what was it, Radio, where he plays mentally underdeveloped, and that to do a bunch of stuff. Now Jamie Foxx, oh my God, can that guy play?
Yeah, Jamie Foxx believe it or not, he is a great actor. He is.
Oh,
he really
the Soloist, where he plays a schizophrenic guy.
I'll tell you, he was a great actor. Have you seen the one where the guy is like a mob guy and he becomes a chauffeur for the black pianist? There's a black piano player. He's a classically trained pianist in the 30s, and he's got to chauffeur him through the South. the segregated South. He plays for high society people.
Yeah.
And you got this mafia guy, and he's just doing it for the money. And anyway, the guy who is the driver is the guy who plays what's his name in Lord of the Rings? Who's the main character? The good guy in Lord of the Rings.
Frodo?
No. The big hero, the king.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I'm just terrible at names.
Yeah, but anyway, he is a good. He is every movie I've seen him play, and he's been a mafia guy in a couple of them. A tough guy. He plays a Russian mob guy. He's got tattoos all of him. He's mean. Wow. He's a killer. And he's a good guy.
Man, if we can find that out. Normally I have my laptop right here. But we're having to do things differently.
But anyway, how did we get off on all of that? With Popeye Doyle and Gene Hackman. Anyway, there's certain great actors. Gene Hackman was one of these guys that could be a good guy and a bad guy and play a real good. Tom Hanks is almost always the same.
Yeah.
Same guy.
Yeah, I remember listening to G. Gordon Liddy because after his Watergate fame and going to prison, that he eventually becomes a rather recurring role on Miami Vice. Good friend of Don Johnson. He says, I always play the villain, though. Always the villain. Well, he's got that look that does villain. But I have to tell you, when you were talking about the chauffeur for a black pianist, I kept being barraged with, there was a made-for-TV movie one time about the life of Nat King Cole. And there's a scene where his manager, white guy, is driving through the South because he's got a gig. I don't know if it was in, Daytona or Miami or whatever, and gets pulled over by some country sheriff racist. And they're angry that a white man is chauffeuring a black man.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And the guy playing Nat King Cole, he's real quiet in the back, and he says, Massa, I think my migraine's about done now. I can drive again. And all of a sudden the cop just like, okay, good, they're on their way. I don't know if that really happened in that King Cole,
right.
But the scene was just, and that's why it keeps bombarding me, and you're trying to tell me some other chauffeur scene, and I keep going back to that.
Yeah.
But,
that is funny. Yeah, and, it's...
Speaking of chauffeurs, the most famous joke, most impacting joke that Ronald Reagan ever told Gorbachev, it was the Reykjavik first summit. The first time Reagan's going to trust and actually meet with the Soviet leader. And they get there, and Gorbachev is just filibustering, just going on and on and on and on, and Reagan's sitting there. And they got their interpreters because that makes it even go even slower. Finally, Reagan interrupts, says, Mr. Gorbachev, is it true what my intelligence briefings are telling me about you? And Gorbachev stops. He says, what are you hearing? He says, well, you were in Crimea, and an incident happened that you had to get back to Moscow, and they had taken your plane in for servicing, so you insisted that your chauffeur get in the car right away and drive you. And you were furious at him because he wouldn't drive above the speed limit. So you finally told him pull over and you were going to drive. And he wasn't. My reports say you hadn't been driving 30 minutes and you got pulled over for speeding. And the officer, as it's being told me, went back to his car where his fellow riding shotgun. Another officer says, well, who was it? To which the officer said, I don't know, but he must be important. Gorbachev's chauffeuring him. Gorbachev just cracked up, because this is sounding so serious and everything. But he said, it just broke the ice. And then Reagan just said, right, can we get to know each other first? And he said, totally changed everything. So I'm sorry. This is where my ADD brain goes. I'm normally not that ADD, but I guess I've had too much coffee today.
No, that's a good story.
Yeah.
See, that's Ronald Reagan. See, that's what he could tell those stories.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I mean, and they all hit home. I mean, they're so, I mean, he was such a good guy. I used to watch Death Valley Days.
Okay.
Probably before your time.
Yeah.
There wasn't Death Valley Days. And he used to be the host of this. And then he would talk in the beginning. Then it would little hour program, some Western show, But, it's so funny. This is another thing about Democrats which makes me so angry. You take Charlton Heston, you take Ronald Reagan, you take so many of these people that they portray as racist and this and that. For example, again, like we said, Ronald Reagan is the one who actually was the genesis of California's liberal gun laws, okay? Mm-hmm. But he was a Democrat. Well, no, he was a Republican when he did that, but he had been a Democrat.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, we were on a bus trip with the Republican Party to Oklahoma City one day. This was many years ago. I think we were going to Mary Fallon's inauguration. That's what it was.
Okay, mid-90s.
Yeah, we took a bus down there.
Well, no, this would have been 84.
No, this would have been, it was in the 90s. It was in the 2000s, I think.
82.
When was Mary Fallon first?
Well, that's 2010, actually.
Right, okay. Yeah.
For governor. She was
for governor, right.
Lieutenant governor.
Right, okay. And so we're going, and they played this movie on the bus, because, you could watch. It was a tour company. And it was a movie where Ronald Reagan was an FBI agent investigating the Ku Klux Klan. And the movie was done in, I think, like 1950.
Okay.
48 or 50. But to show way back then, Ronald Reagan was already doing movies investigating the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
And anti-Ku Klux Klan. But yet, they were portraying him as this racist Republican person when he was doing movies as a detective against the Ku Klux Klan 40, 50 years earlier.
Wow.
This just shows how despicable the Democrats are and how desperate they are, always lying and changing history to fit their narrative.
Yeah.
It just makes me sick. It just makes me angry. They're lying, cheating, stinking ways. It just drives me nuts.
Got to ask you this. We can think of a lot of prominent elected officials, Republicans, who used to be Democrats.
Yeah.
Who could we name that are prominent Democrat leaders who used to be Republican? I can
prominent
only one.
Or sleazy. Slime.
Well, had gained prominence whether you like them or not.
Yeah. Well, the only ones that Kinzinger is the recent one. Adam Kinzinger. He just switched now.
He
but would
turned
he be
into
prominent?
Media darling, but not a government official as a Democrat.
Right.
I mean, same thing with Michael Steele.
Right. Oh my goodness! Yeah, he's another one. I actually met him years ago.
The only one I can think of, and I don't. It's as a teenager. Hillary Rodham was said to be a Republican as a teenager, but then she went
a Reagan girl. She was a Reagan. That's her famous claim to fame.
But then she went on to Wellesley College,
right?
Where all good Republican values go to die is a liberal university.
Yeah.
So that's about the closest. It just doesn't exist.
No, you're right. That is true.
They don't have Tulsi Gabbards and Bobby Kennedys and Ronald Reagans.
Right.
They don't.
No, they don't. I would not be surprised if before long Fetterman isn't a Republican.
Yes.
I mean, what happened? His left brain became right.
Joe Manchin would probably be a U.S. Senator today if he had switched to Republican Party.
Yeah.
But by the way, we have to talk about Ukraine.
Oh, yes, please.
Because we were off last week. A lot has happened.
Yeah, that, oh my goodness, yeah.
Now, I think we had the show a couple weeks ago where the day before, I think, well, anyway, but what happened, we all saw the blow up in the White House. And then the aftermath, Trump literally, had him kicked out of the house. Then Trump goes to Florida for the weekend. That was clearly signaling, not interested in talking to you. Finally, middle of the night, Zelensky decides, to go to Europe because I guess Stallmer and Macron and Schultz want to meet with him. And they're doing repair work. And then they called this big summit and list a bunch of stuff. And then after the summit, then all of a sudden, Zelensky is groveling and begging for us to sign the deal with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what happened. You heard what happened. Okay. So Zelensky comes. He's supposed to be meeting with Trump. Mm-hmm. Before he gets there, he meets with either a Democrat or a few. I can't remember his name.
I heard there were Republicans also, but basically war hawks.
Right, but the main one that he is alleged to have met with, I can't think of his name right now. Wallace or I can't think. Right now, it's a Democrat congressman.
Okay,
they have a film of him meeting with this guy. And then he was told to resist, to do not buy into Trump, whatever he tells him to do. So he goes into the public conference where they're in the Oval Office and everybody's sitting there. And I mean, everybody. And then, of course, the one who was made to look the worst is Marco Rubio, because Marco Rubio had just come back and negotiated this deal that he was going to, agree to. And so they're in the Oval Office, and now all of a sudden, with the press and everybody, Zelensky said, no, we're not doing that. That's not happening. And so it's embarrassing everybody. Trump, Rubio. That's why Rubio, they showed Rubio. And then, I don't know if you saw the photo, but there was a lady who worked with them, and she's there across the room with her hands in her, her head in her hands, face down, realizing.
Yeah, she was a top 8. I think she was the ambassador.
Yeah, maybe the ambassador or somebody high up, and she's just like this. Oh no, I can't believe you're doing this. Are you serious? Because everything was agreed to, and then all of a sudden, here he comes in.
But I don't think Rubio came out looking bad in that meeting at all.
Well, no, he was just very angry. The look on his face, he was very angry because he had an agreement from the guy, and he waits to get into the Oval Office with the cameras on. All of a sudden, to change his story, and it just made. Well, it did make him. Well, it was an attempt to make him look bad,
right?
Like Rubio was lying or making this up, like he hadn't really agreed to this, and so. Yeah, so that's what happened there.
Yeah, so early this week, J.D. Vance sat down with Sean Hannity, and Vance really gave his perspective on it. He said where things started to go off was we had a Polish journalist ask a question, and it was the answer that Zelensky gave to that Polish journalist.
Right.
That... Vance said, I had to say something there.
Yeah, see, the Poles, the Hungarians, the Italians, there's a whole new alignment of countries that are ready to get this stuff over with. Mm-hmm. They're ready to, but you got the French, the Germans, the Swedes, and Finland, Sweden, France, England, and I think Holland is one of them. Mm-hmm. They're on the other side, but you've got Italy down on the south, Hungary, and Argentina. Not Argentina, I'm sorry. Yeah, Argentina. Yeah, the new one.
Hungary,
these countries that are now forming a new alliance.
Yeah, and Georgescu of Romania, but he just got arrested.
Yeah.
He's the one they stole his election.
Right, they stole his election from, right. And so with that, you've got this new alliance forming, and I think that, what's his name, Zelensky was kind of listening to the Democrats and seeing this other alignment of Europe. But see, the Europeans, the other ones, have been telling him, well, we'll fund you.
Yeah.
But in the end, he got over there and he said, okay, let's see where it is. And I guarantee you they told him, well, let's see how, what happens. And I think right after the State of the Union, when he saw what happened and the Democrats looked so bad, I think he realized these Democrats are all what is it? All suit? No. Oh, what is it? No horses or something. When you talk about the wannabe cowboys, I can't remember there's a term, all spurs, no cattle, or something.
All hat, no horse.
Oh yeah, all hat,
something
no horse.
like that.
Right, all hat, no cattle. That's
Okay,
what it is.
yeah.
All hat, no cattle.
Drugstore cowboys.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's happening with these Europeans.
Posers, yeah.
Posers trying to get him to convince him go with and the Democrats telling him, and they really it shows they have no power. There's nothing there.
So after this big powwow amongst the European countries with Zelensky, I put out a meme. I had a picture of Biden with Macron next to him and Starmer and Schultz, Germany, France, England. And the meme says, the caption says, "We are determined to destroy Putin no matter how many Ukrainian lives it costs us."
That's exactly.
And because that was the same point that got Anwar Sadat to quit doing the bidding of the Soviet Union, and he made peace with Israel. It might have been Humphrey, somebody said the Saudis are determined to destroy Israel no matter how many Egyptians, because the Saudis never sent troops in the 6-Day War. The brunt of it was taken by Syrians, Jordanians, and the Egyptians. And Sadat was when his own brother died in the Yom Kippur War, 73. That's all of a sudden Sadat said, you know what? This was Nasser's war. This wasn't mine.
Right.
And the funny thing is, then when Iran fell and took our hostages, my brother, just a year older than me, was on a secret mission. He was at a security police, Air Force. He had to secure a former Russian army base in Egypt. That's where our special forces had trained for that attempted Tehran, hostage rescue that Carter's people blundered. And the funny thing, and my brother knew it. He said the Soviets knew about this from the beginning. They were totally security was so bad, so bad. So anyway, but that's the point. It's who's egging you on and who's paying the price.
Right.
By the way, speaking of Georgescu in Romania, just this week, he was taken in for questioning by police.
Yes, he is. Yeah, I'm sure that's WEC, World Economic Council deal. And there's stuff going on in the world right now that there's a real battle going on between the World Economic Council people and those that don't want to be a part of that, and they want a free world. They don't want to be controlled by these billionaires and the one world government people.
Yeah, but you're starting to see alignment in Southeast Europe, because I see the message is growing in Greece now as well. But Italy, Hungary, Romania, they just follow along that western border of Turkey. Turkey's off doing their own thing. But there's a lot of people. I know, Alex Jones, Infowars, and Owen Troy said, the U.S. has got to get out of NATO because, first of all, we're defending totalitarianism and denial of civil rights.
Yeah.
So we're essentially in a treaty with totalitarian leaning people, and the mission creep is so changed from why it was established post World War II.
And I'll tell you something. Russia really does not want to be aligned with China.
Right.
They do not. That's not something they really want to be doing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's as much as Putin told Tucker Carlson, he says, I would rather that Biden win re-election than Trump. Because he could just ignore Biden.
Right.
He's not going to ignore Trump. They've spoken several times. He knows he's got to deal with Trump.
Right.
But I think the important thing for Trump to get across to him is we are not lockstep with the Europeans.
But yeah, at the same time, I think Putin may have been a head fake too, because he knows that if he had said he supports Trump, then the media would have, we knew it.
Then why, for the last 2 years, Biden has attempted to make contact and Putin won't take his calls?
But Biden hasn't really, because, why would he? Because when Biden keeps talking about he wants to send more and more money, and we have not in any way tried to get, Biden never tried to get Zelensky to sit down with Russia to make peace.
Yeah. I just remember, pretty prominent independent journalist here in Oklahoma, Al Gerhardt. He is so effective with the legislature. One legislator called me and said, do you think that you could get Al to sit down and have coffee with me? I think we could get along if I could just have a chance. So I called Al, and Al laughed. He says, no, I got him right where I want him. I'll leave him right there. That same deal is, you know what? I'm not motivated to have a better relationship. With Putin and Trump, Putin is motivated, so he is taking his calls.
Well, yeah. But see, I think Putin was doing better. Putin needs to get out of this war. It's bankrupting his country. It's taking the lives of the people. He knows he can't continue.
Yeah.
With Biden, he was going to win the war, but at what cost?
Yeah.
He was going to have a skeleton of a country left.
Yeah, and that's why I still go back to, and I told you this 2 months ago, I said, we have to have autonomy for Eastern Ukraine, self-determination.
Right.
And if they join one country or another, everybody needs to respect that.
Right.
But truly allow them to do that. Have the United States say, you know what, we want a scaled-back NATO, and we want European nations to form another treaty that's central to Europe's needs.
Right.
We are North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And then Putin just say, okay, great. We're done with NATO. That's his biggest fear is NATO. Right. So he wins because he can claim I destroyed NATO.
See, we talked about this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We could not and should not even have entertained the thought of putting troops there in Ukraine, which is on the Black Sea.
Yeah.
In the Caspian Sea, because that's their Caribbean. That's like the coast of Florida. I mean, who in their right mind would ever even think of considering that? You're right off the coast.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and so that's the one thing we should never ever have entertained that.
Oh,
I just think that like you said, if we let Europe get your own thing, then they need to start putting their money in to their own defense.
Yeah. England just had their Lusitania moment. Starmer announced $2 billion in relief aid for Ukraine. within 24 hours, a ship comes near the port of Odessa on the Black Sea, South Ukraine, and gets blown out of the water. It was a container ship, and it's believed that it was full of weapons coming from England, or at least it was an English flagship. And is Russia justified in blowing up ammunition and weapons? Yeah, if you can prove those are weapons, you're at war, and it's reciprocated. Yes, Russia started the war. You could say that, okay? But, did the Lusitania haul weapons down in the bilge? We haven't proved that it didn't. The fact that passengers got killed. See, on this, it was a container ship.
Right.
Very minimal crew on a ship like that. And we don't know how many of them died. But it was land-based missiles that were launched to take it. It wasn't torpedoes. But that kind of ups the ante, Okay, you got $2 million that you're going to pay for their weapons. We just blew up those weapons before they get off the boat. I don't know why. Who was so stupid to think you take those weapons up the Black Sea?
Yeah, exactly. That is just, that's stupid.
So it happened. I don't know. I just, according to Jeff Sachs, who's a Columbia professor who kind of hung out a shingle decades ago as an economist for hire for emerging democracies. He spent a lot of time with a young man named Viktor Orban. He's dear friends with Viktor Orban. And again, he was at Harvard. Now he's at Columbia. And he said, look, Clinton started this whole initiative when he changed his mind and said, we're not going to let Putin join NATO. Putin wanted to join NATO.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And, it was Putin's overture of world peace.
Right.
Okay? So then Clinton convinces Prime Minister John Major, England, and then convinces G.W. Bush. And I remember Bush saying at the end of his presidency, he said, a lot of the decisions of this White House are going to stay the same regardless of who wins. He said they're going to continue these policies. These were the globalist deep state policies. And the policy was to keep choking Russia by moving NATO eastward.
Yes.
Because they said publicly, said to Putin, said to the world, NATO will not expand eastward. They lied and they lied and they lied. For 20-some years, they've continually lied.
Yeah.
If you're Putin and you're seeing this systematic thing, and it doesn't matter if it's a Democrat or Republican in the White House, whether it's Clinton, Bush, or Obama, they're continuing this narrative.
Yeah, it's got to stop. Stop.
That's why I'm saying, and it's not just an American agenda, it's a globalist agenda, and Obama was very much a part of it.
And see, they think that they're too smart for their britches.
Yeah. Who did Obama appoint to run foreign policy? Hillary Clinton. I rest my case.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
by the way, I'm sorry. When GW went to war against Saddam Hussein, he used the same intelligence that Bill Clinton had purported, saying that Saddam has weapons of mass destruction. It was all a lie.
Yeah.
And you know what? A lot of what we get in our news is stuff that our own State Department propaganda is telling us.
And I think the bottom line was we wanted the oil. Or access to it.
I don't think that was it.
You don't think that was it?
I don't think it's the oil.
I do. I think it was.
Because GW said, no, we're not taking the oil. They need that to build their own economy. He was in the nation building.
Yes, but at the same time, we see how that went. We're not building any nation.
Oh, of course not.
Right.
This is why it doesn't work. It's a bunch of arrogant elitists.
Right, but I think he may have thought that it was. But I think that the oil interests and those that are backing, I think they saw a way of getting the oil and keeping the access to the oil open and keeping Iran at bay from us getting the oil. That's what I think.
The Iranian influence is the biggest Achilles heel in this globalism, is they ignored it. Even when they were American troops being killed by Iranian terrorists, and it wasn't being reported as such. We're covering up the fact that they were at war with us, but we weren't at war with them.
Yeah, because you know, you got Iraq, Kuwait, the UAW, and all the way down there.
The Arabs want to get rid of Iran. It's the globalist agenda that's propping up Iran.
Right, but see, we have to have that because it's access to all of that, and it keeps Iran from getting it.
But I'm saying we're the ones keeping Iran propped up.
Well, how is that?
How many millions of dollars did Obama unfreeze and ship on a pallet?
Well, yeah, you mean,
and Biden
you
did
mean
the same thing?
Yeah.
No, Biden just reversed Trump's policy.
No, I understand, but right, but Bush didn't.
Bush ignored all the terrorism.
Right, but he put a wrinkle in it. He stopped the Iranian.
Yeah, but they didn't want to. Of all the Arab Spring nations that were toppled, Iran was the easiest one. And there was rioting in the streets, and Obama wouldn't do anything to help.
Well, yeah, that's because I think ultimately he was afraid. I think he's afraid of them. I'm just telling you. Because he knew these people have no fear. In other words, they are bent on, they'll commit suicide.
Yeah, but the only thing that I could imagine was, who is funding the effort to destroy Israel?
Iran.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think
but Obama doesn't care about Israel.
Oh, right, that's the point.
Right, sure, no, I understand. And, Obama doesn't care about Israel, no. And I don't think Bush, bottom line, really cares about Israel either.
Politically, the globalists, in America at least, could not be anti-Israel openly.
Right, no.
But they were.
Yeah.
They just went, until recently, with this, October 7th thing.
Agreed.
And we're finding out just how anti-Semite the Democrats are, the globalist Democrats.
Right.
And they think Eddie Huff is the biggest enemy of Israel.
Locally they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Even the Jews think I'm anti-Jewish.
Well, the liberal ones.
Oh, yeah, the liberal ones.
Yeah. So there's a lot more digging to be done. And if you guys are looking at any of Tucker Carlson's, go back about 2-3 weeks to Jeff Sachs. Sachs as in Saks Fifth Avenue. I don't know if he's related, but that's the guy.
SACHS.
And by the way, I don't know if it's a relation to him, but Trump has one of his top advisors at his cabinet meeting this week was David Sachs. I got to figure out what connection there might be there.
I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on there. I think there's a lot to uncover here, and we'll see. By the way, we got budget issues that are coming up. There's supposedly fights between the cabinet and Elon Musk. And
turf wars. Oh, yeah, there's, yeah. No, it'll all Trump will get it straightened out. And, if not, he'll fire him.
Yeah.
He's not putting up with what he put up last time.
Well, the biggest case, and this was a liberal newspaper, I don't know if it was AP or if it was New York Times that was pitching this, that Marco Rubio has been furious with Elon Musk for weeks for firing State Department staff. Oh, USAID, which is under State Department. I don't know that Elon's fired anybody from any agency.
No, he doesn't have the power to fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
he's just recommended firing these people.
Could be.
Right, that's
all.
Yeah,
but he can't do that.
But it's up to Trump to fire him.
Right. So yesterday Trump just said, that's complete falsehood. You are fake news, and
Yeah, he's just recommending they be fired.
Yeah.
But he just wants, like the story I talked about earlier, on U.S. ADF.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want him in because they don't want him to be recommended to be fired. Mm-hmm. That's all. He can't fire anybody, but he's going to recommend it.
Yeah.
So, hey, this is on a little sports. Kansas City Chiefs receiver Xavier Worthy.
Oh, rookie this year.
Right. He's been arrested in Texas for assault. Apparently, always women. He's been arrested on felony domestic violence charges. He's the second high-profile wide receiver from the reigning champs facing serious legal trouble. If you remember, their other receiver last year killed some people in an auto accident.
Oh, yeah.
High speed. He's from SMU. I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, so Williams County online jail record sites show that Worthy was arrested Friday by deputies and held in the jail and charged with assault on a family or household member in which their breath was impeded. In other words, he was choking. In a statement, Worthy's attorney, Chip Lewis, and Sam Bassett said the client was innocent of all charges against him. His attorney said the allegation was made by a female who had been living in his home in Williams County, said she had been asked to leave the home multiple times over the last 2 weeks upon discovery of her infidelity. But she didn't want to leave. She's refused to vacate the residence and made a number of extortive efforts prior to resorting to this baseless allegation. So basically what happened, apparently, it's a girlfriend. I don't know it's for a fact, but I'm reading between the lines. It was a girlfriend who's been cheating on him. He told her to leave. She wouldn't leave. And she's been threatening to extort money from him. And he tried to throw her out. And she's accusing him of trying to strangle her. And that's what it is. And as is so often the case, the police have to take all charges seriously, and so they're charging him with a third-degree felony.
What municipality?
I don't know what that county is. We'll have to look up and see what.
Williams County?
Yeah. We'll have to look it up.
No.
Williamson County.
Williamson.
They don't tell you what town it is, what city it is. So I wish they would just tell us,
Yeah, because you just have to wonder, if you got some liberal or feminist activist cop. Because, on these domestic violence claims that I remember the famous Johnny Depp trial from a couple summers ago. That woman who just destroyed Johnny Depp's career and
tried
reputation. Tried to. And Johnny Depp came out totally exonerated.
Yeah. He needs to file suit against her as well. And,
who is the young guy for OU? Is it an Anderson running back? It comes out later that the woman was a feminist activist who was going to ride the coattails of this charge against him to get herself some kind of media gig on a leftist, national news outlet. So, it ends up she was following him around.
Yeah.
So, Williamson County. Okay, this is just north of Austin. So
Austin,
yeah.
You probably got some liberal.
Round Rock, that area.
Yeah, Round Rock, yeah. So,
which is the most liberal part of Texas is the Austin area. So, it's one of those on domestic things, do yourself a favor, folks. Any domestic issue in that, wait for the full report.
Right.
Right.
Because
I have seen all kinds of things like that. I've seen even people who are mentally deranged have others thrown in jail because they get that damsel in distress act going. It can be quite a challenge.
Yeah.
And cops do their best, but sometimes they don't have all the facts.
Yeah.
People make claims.
I just hate, the women's always right. The women's this. I used to get into this on the Pat Campbell show. Remember, I used to always.
Yeah.
Because, you remember the case of, what's his name, the running back from OU. He's at Houston now. He was in Cincinnati. What is his name?
Mixon,
Joe Mixon. Mm-hmm. The case where he punched the girl in the bar. She came up and called him a name and slapped him.
Yeah, she assaulted him.
Right. And then he, boom, out of just a quick pop, popped her in the face. And, of course, everybody went in his head.
Yeah.
And
not just law enforcement, but it was Bob Stoops was under great pressure by the administration
but here's
to expel him.
But what really made me angry is that, here's the deal, that they want the guy's head, but, and the same people, the same women at the same time are arguing or would be arguing that for women's lib. Mm-hmm. Women are equal to men.
Yeah.
But anytime a man touches a woman, the man has to go to jail.
Right. Yeah.
That's
we still want that damsel in distress.
Right. He has no right to touch a woman because she's a woman. She's a dainty flower, but she can do anything the man can do.
Yeah, but let me just tell you, you do that to a cop. He doesn't care it's your woman. You assault a cop. The cops don't live by that code.
Right.
Why should any of the rest of us?
Right.
We're being assaulted.
In Florida, there was a quarterback after Jameis Winston. Excuse me. Yeah. And he was in a bar, and a girl came up, got in his face, poured a drink in his face, hit him, and he hit her back. Mm-hmm. And he lost his scholarship, was arrested, and his whole career was ruined. You haven't heard from him again, and ruined the kid's life.
Right.
Totally ruined his life. But you
see, the problem there was the administration of the school when you lose your scholarship.
Now, let me tell you.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I think I'm going to take it a step further, and some of you may not like this. I think there's a racial element.
Okay.
Okay. The two athletes, Mixon and the quarterback at Florida State, they're black. Mm-hmm. The females were white.
Mm. Leave our white woman alone.
At Texas Tech, there were two freshmen. Mm-hmm. One was a male, one was female. Mm-hmm. And they got into it. Well, the girl was rough and playing rough against the boy, and the guy turned around and punched the girl.
Yep.
And basically knocked her out and she landed against the wall in a chair.
Yep.
What happened there, though, was they both got suspended for a whole semester.
Yep.
And kicked off the team for a semester. But it went both ways, but they were both black.
Why did they get kicked off the team? For defending themselves.
Well, no. The girl, what happened with the girl, she, to her credit, she admitted that she egged it on. Mm-hmm. That she started it, but they still got him because he was a guy and he should have been able to take it.
Yeah.
So even though she's a female athlete, supposed to be equal to men, and he ended up hitting her. And but what I'm saying is, you have to wonder, had she been a white athlete, would they have done the same thing? See, this is the thing that creates racial issues when you have a black athlete hitting a white athlete or a white girl, or it's a black-white situation.
Right.
Are you ready to throw the book at the black athlete? Mm-hmm. And if it's a black-on-black thing, do you punish both of them?
Right.
This is the question. So when it comes to justice, we have to be careful. We have to be willing to mete it out equally.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
In my thinking, my judgment, in all three of those cases, the women were guilty of instigating the violence. Okay. And the guy, and I remember on Pat Campbell, the first one, and in Joe Mixon's case, getting people calling up, guys generally, chivalrous men, upset that these guys would hit the women because they were always taught don't hit a woman. Yes, we're taught that. But when a woman hits you in your face or throws something and your eye is burning, your instinct may not always may not override your your instinct may override your chivalry.
Okay, wait a minute.
You may have chivalry, but ingrained in you, but your instinct is to retaliate.
But the policy that's so prominent down at the OU campus is, how do you define a woman? How do you know it's a woman?
I understand.
Yeah.
We've dealt that. I understand what you're saying.
They defeat themselves here.
Right, exactly. That's my argument. That's the other argument, right. But at the pure thought of it is you're expecting an 18-year-old, 19-year-old young man with hormones and everything raging, gets alcohol poured into his eyes or hit all of a sudden to override these hormones and this instinct to strike back. He's supposed to all of a sudden have all this under control when he's 19 and testosterone and all.
I don't think we should. If she had done that to a cop, black or white, what would the cop do?
Well, it depends on what kind of cop it is.
Yeah, but you get taught at any police academy, you don't play those games. Somebody threatens you.
Right.
You do not get paid to wear a badge and take you to lose fights.
Right. So anyway, getting back to the story here, because we need to wrap it up. But James Worthy is now has been arrested, and his bond has been posted, and we'll have to see what happens. He's facing a penalty up to 10 years in prison if they buy the girl's story. She's probably, I mean, if she was told to leave because she's caught cheating on him and she didn't want to leave his place, and he's trying to throw her out of the place because she wouldn't leave, I think he has a right to throw her out of his apartment.
Oh, absolutely has a right. By the way, the case I was referring to is Rodney Anderson. I wanted to be careful on that. It was a white woman who chased him all over from tavern to tavern that night, goes home with him, sleeps with him. The next morning, he just says, look, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm not looking for a girlfriend. And he texts her on that, and that was his salvation because those records came up, and the defender just dropped all the charges, especially when one of that girl's friends came to the cop and said, here's what she texted me. She said, this is her golden ticket to a media contract.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And this is a white woman stalking a black athlete. Yeah. And I really have problems with that. And but Eddie, let's take this down to the high school level. In Tulsa Public Schools, if you're being bullied and it comes to blows, they start assaulting you, you get suspended.
Yeah.
Automatically.
Yeah, sure. Always. Yeah. That is the unwritten code.
That is punishing a victim. Yeah. Period. Yeah. No tolerance. We don't want you here. That is abandoning the least among us. That's not protecting. That's not solidarity. That's not support.
Yeah, what you're doing in a sense is you're promoting bad behavior to me.
Okay.
Because you're sending a signal to young women that they can do whatever they want and get away with it.
Well, I wasn't referring to men or women. I'm saying anybody who gets bullied and then gets physically beat up gets suspended from school.
No. Okay, I see what you're saying. Right.
And that's, to me, it is complete dereliction of duty by those that parents entrust with the care of their kid.
Right.
They didn't protect their kid, and now they're punishing their kid to cover up that they didn't protect their
Right.
kid.
No, I understand. Okay. I've got you on that end. What I'm speaking to is right that you're supposed to stand there and let somebody do this to you without being able to retaliate.
But even then, you get suspended.
No. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Because you were involved in an altercation. Right. You were the punching bag.
Right. When I was in high school, my senior year, I had some principal that was, they used their head. We had a guy, it was over a girl, and he liked this girl that liked me.
Not the principal.
No.
Another guy.
Another guy, yeah. And he came to school, and he tried to lure me out of the school. And I knew he had GI. This was on a military base, and he tried to lure me out, and I knew he had people waiting for me. He probably jumped me. Right? And I said, no, if you want to fight, we're going to fight right here. And this was right in the entry of the school. And so he tried to lure me out. I grabbed him, and I hit him right there, and knocked him across the room. And so then as soon as he was on the ground, he got up and he pulled out a box cutter. He had been waiting with this box
He's
cutter.
got a weapon.
Yeah, weapon. And so he's coming after me with the box cutter. And so I ran down the hall, went into a music room, and grabbed the music, the note stand.
Oh, yeah.
And folded it up. And now I'm chasing him down the hall. And the principal
You got reach on him now.
Yeah, and all of a sudden he realized, my box cutter is not cutting it. And so, and the assistant principal, boys, stop it. Boys, stop. Instead of stepping in, he's just clapping his hand. And so, finally, I caught the guy, and I'm beating him to a pulp. And finally, my friends grabbed him, stopped him, grabbed his box cutter. And so the assistant principal took him into the one room and me into the principal's office. Yeah. But anyway, but what they did, they ended up suspending both of us. But they told me go home for the afternoon, and they suspended him for like 6 weeks because they knew, that they found out and interviewed everybody and all, but they just realized, and they say, we're going to put this in your file, but if there's nothing else the rest of the year, we're going to tear it up. It'll never go. There you go. But see, that was using their heads that, you don't just automatically punish somebody unnecessarily.
Now, let's clarify, Eddie, for people who don't understand. This is a public school, but it was a Department of Defense school on a U.S. base in a foreign nation.
Right.
They don't buy all that liberal riffraff. At least back then they didn't.
No, right.
I've heard so many guys. I knew missionaries that got to go to Dodd schools and loved them.
Right.
It's just so.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, getting back to the story, we've rambled again.
Sorry.
No, it's me this time. Xavier Worthy, the receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, rookie, is in a bit of trouble, but hopefully he gets out of it. Hopefully it's a cautionary tale again of these kids, these college athletes, and hooking up with these women that they shouldn't be involved with. Yeah. And that's one thing. Deion Sanders, he has this little seminar that he brings, or it's actually a couple of day thing where he has these college draftees go to, and he deals with finance and women and all of the pitfalls and things to watch out for. Yeah. Not to fall into these traps. Yeah. And these guys need to take heed because there are some, not just women. I mean, there are some evil, wicked agents, wicked people, schemes and things that will get you into trouble and keep you from ever becoming who you should be. So
we need a whole lot more Deion Sanders. Black fathers who set a good example publicly.
Well, let's hope the jury's out. His son's about to be drafted high. He has two sons, actually.
Well, but his sons are already financially wealthy.
Well, that's true.
They have followed the program and the plan, and they happen to be so blessed to be born the son of Deion Sanders.
Yeah. And that's the whole
and what has he done? He's made his decisions in line with that which helps him to be a more capable father to his boys. You know, and not just his biological boys, but the young man who kind of was pseudo-adopted.
Right,
who won the Heisman this year.
Right.
Wouldn't have been Heisman without Deion Sanders.
Well, that's true. I believe that. I agree.
You know, and I think the world. And like I said, I was at a homeschool football game in Broken Arrow where the Springfield team was taking on Deion Sanders at that time high school charter school. And after the game, a lot of kids wanted me. He just had to sit down in the middle of the field and just talked about responsible manhood with all of them.
Both teams.
Yes. Yes. Prayed with them. The coach of the homeschool team, you know, they just had a time. It was fantastic to watch. And this was right here in Tulsa. You know, and that charter school had bad management, went by the wayside, but then he started coaching at one of the top schools. I don't know if it was Allen, Texas, or where it was, Tyler, something. But then all of a sudden, his boy's getting ready to go to college. Jackson State hires him. You know, Deion's made himself available in such a way that uniquely helped his kids.
Right.
You know, but he didn't just help his kids. He's helped a lot of kids. I mean, the homeschool kids that I saw, benefiting from counsel from Deion Sanders. And that was 10 years ago.
Right.
You know, when I saw that. So anyway, it's a good week. Oh, by the way, we do have new leadership, Tulsa Republican Party.
Oh, we didn't even get to that.
Next week, we've got a special guest in, a former military officer, veteran, served in. His name is Greg Hendricks. Looking forward to that. And if we can arrange to still have David Arnett give his monthly report to us, I will say something. David will have a lot more to say. He's looking into it. Charity Marcus was handling a lot of the communications for the GOP. After her defeat for chairman, the website was down.
Yes, and she would not give from what I understand, she refused to give the password, or she just shut it down. She did not want to turn it over to the new chairman.
Okay.
To the new people.
And the social media, all that stuff now has to be rebuilt from scratch.
Right.
What I want to say is sometimes after the fact, a person will give you plenty of reassurance why you made the right choice.
Yeah.
Because of the way they acted when they didn't get their way. And I feel now we made the right choice. Not to say Melissa doesn't have a lot of growing and a lot of learning to do.
Right.
But, man.
Yeah. And, we'll need to get her back in here again, and we'll revisit some of this here in a week or two. So,
Yep.
All right.
John Eccles has committed. He tentatively... we have him for the 29th of this month. John is running for Attorney General.
And the state convention is?
That's early April, so it's a few weeks away.
So we don't have too much. Isn't there a district convention still?
Not this year. Only in presidential years that you have that.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to have a lot of guests. Sometimes we're going to double stack them even. So.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much, and hopefully you'll tune in again next week. We'll have a lot more exciting stuff, and stay tuned.
Yes.
Take care.